Good to go. Good evening, everybody. This is our Monday, January 27th, 2025 meeting of the Neighborhood Commission. I'd like to start with the rules of speaking. Anyone wishing to speak is asked to raise his or her hand, and when recognized by the chair, to address comments to the chair. Speakers are to keep their comments under 2 minutes, and public testimony will be taken on every agenda item. And at this time, please silence all electronic devices. With that, I'd like to call call our meeting to order and ask for a roll call. Evelyn?
Bernal,
Here.
Clark,
Here.
Logue,
Here.
Melendrez, here, Oshiro,
Here.
Smith,
Here.
Kamamoto, and Varag. We have quorum of 6 present, Chair.
Thank you. Next item on our agenda is public concerns. Do we have any public concerns tonight? Anybody with their hands up?
Yes.
I see one hand. Greg Sakin, Kevin Lai, why don't we start with you? Greg, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. 2 comments. The first one, I'm Greg Masakian. I serve on the Waikiki Neighborhood Board number 9. And I would like to express continuing concerns with improper procedural issues with our board that are very concerning. At the most recent neighborhood board meeting on January 14th, there was an item on agenda for Bill 50 further down in the agenda, and it was mentioned during Council Chair Waters' presentation, but it was on agenda also there under his presentation. And it said that it was in the meeting materials section. But unfortunately, as is typical for our board, there was almost nothing in what we consider our board packet, the Google Shared Drive for the public and for us. Nothing was available for me to review or for the public to review. So during the meeting, Council Chair Waters talked about Bill 50. There was discussion back and forth versus, as a presentation. And then there was a motion to move the vote up, to vote to see if we support it up. That vote failed because it was less than 2/3, which is required by Robert's rules, and that's what we would adopt through the neighborhood plan. And unfortunately, the deputy, Dylan Witzel, with a phone call, even though it was stated that it failed, somehow there was a phone call after that. And even though it's not correct, it was adopted to move it up. There was a vote, and they, it won to adopt that. I raised point of order. I said, this isn't something I can review. Clearly, there were changes in it from November, and I was not able to review that. That is a major issue, and there's multiple things on that meeting, and the fact that other things weren't in the agenda, in the board packet for the agendized items. We couldn't see them. And lastly, the complaints are being dismissed. They're being ignored. The executive secretary and his staff are just not addressing complaints whatsoever. And I believe there's a serious conflict of interest, and that needs to be addressed. The commission needs to look into this, and I will be requesting an investigation. Thank you.
Any comments, questions? If not, I see Mr. Lai's hand.
Thank you, Chair. Neighborhood Commissioners, although there are numerous functions assigned to the Neighborhood Commission office and its staff to assist with the function of the commission, you will recall that within Neighborhood Plan 211-201 Part B that the commission shall not be responsible nor control the administrative affairs or day-to-day operations of the commission office. However, I encourage the commission not to leave too long of a leash and to actively ensure that protocolized tasks and duties assigned to the commission are in fact taking place as prescribed. I bring to light tonight a concern that was raised with the executive secretary about 1 or more complaints that were filed and acknowledged back on 18 November 2024, but for which no evidence of actions outlined by Neighborhood Plan 218-101B through D with a series of 10 and 45-day time clocks appear to have happened. Now, it is my hope that the executive secretary will be able to address this, to explain, as asked by email within the past couple of days, if the neighborhood plan was not followed, then why not? Thank you.
Any questions or comments? Kevin? Okay, if not, then we're going to move on to our next item on the agenda, which is the approval of minutes. We have 2 minutes that need to be approved tonight. First one is our October 17th meeting. So do we have a motion to approve or amend? October 7th.
I will move. I will so move. Move to approve.
First, second. Moved and seconded by Leo. Any discussion? Not the minutes for October 17th are approved as circulated. So next set of minutes, November 25th. So a motion to approve. I so moved. Moved, second.
I'll second.
It's
Second,
been moved and seconded. Been moved and seconded by Patrick, but I heard me first, so. Any discussion? Not. Any objections? Not the minutes for November 25th. Approved and circulated. Next item on the agenda, Executive Secretary's report. Lloyd?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. This is just a quick update. The NCO has been working on a survey for several months now. The survey is intended to be done with the neighborhood board members. And part of the reasoning for the survey was we do get a lot of information, not a lot of information, a lot of requests for training. And part of our issue or concern is we'd like to know what the board members know and what areas they are not only interested in terms of training, but what is their knowledge of Robert's Rules of Order, Sunshine Law, and the neighborhood plan before we even get into what we could possibly train. We also want to be able to look at it in terms of what the board members think about their boards and also their communities in terms of how we can support them in getting more information out and getting more people to attend the meetings. Anyways, just an update that we are working on it. I would think that we are going to possibly introduce or do the survey maybe next week if everything's finalized internally.
Potentially this week.
Potentially this week. Anyway, we have I don't know, 20 questions, 30 questions or something. It is the questions that the questions for our survey we submitted also to the survey committee that the Commissioner Valentris was heading up from. But we want to move with our stuff move forward. We have a specific focus in mind. Anyway, hopefully we'll get it out soon.
Lloyd, just anybody else has a comment or question? I had a quick one. I understood that, yeah, those questions were forwarded to the survey committee. My concern is that if you send out a survey now, I don't know how soon we're going to send out the other surveys. It'd be kind of confusing because I think maybe the questions you'll ask, if you have 30 questions, they must be, and looking at what we already were looking at on the survey committee, they may be redundant. So I hate to confuse the board members. You send out one survey one day and the next I mean, unless it's gonna be far out, I don't know when the survey that Stephen and his committee working on is scheduled to go out. I don't see that we don't even have a draft of the questions for us to review. So Stephen, can you address that as to when do you think the survey will be ready for the commission to review?
Yes, I can give my report now if you'd like.
Well, basically that question.
We have one set of questions that we received from the boards that are here. This
When you
is
say
set.
one set of questions from the boards, what do you mean?
When we sent out the inquiries to the boards.
Yeah,
What would you like to see on the survey? This is what's been compiled, what's sent over to Dylan, it's on the Google Drive.
yeah.
So this is going to be,
But those are not questions. Those are concerns that,
no,
from what I read, that you sent out in
It's
November
nominated.
and again in January,
Okay.
those were email that was sent by various members. I don't know who, because the names were not on the email or, the documents we reviewed. They were just comments basically as people saying that I suggest you have a question on this or that.
this information, answer your question, between now and our next survey meeting, these are going to be gone through by the survey committee members. And we're going to extract, we've already discussed it. We had a good meeting on Thursday. Extract those items which are not redundant, compile them, and then present them. We're going to discuss in our next survey meeting. From there, we're going to vote and pass them. We're going to pass those like we talked about with Dylan. We're going to pass them, then combine that with what we already have. And that's going to be the packet that we'll present to the commission.
So
Probably
would you
get
say it'll be in 2 months,
No,
3 months?
no, 1 month, next survey meeting.
Yeah, but it has to come to the commission for a meeting, so that's at least 2 months, right?
It's the following week.
Oh,
Yeah, our next survey meeting is on the 20th of
Yeah, so it's
February.
right after,
20th of February?
yes.
And then we have
For the
a
following week is
on
the
the
commission meeting.
24th.
I thought the day,
that is a holiday. Yeah.
that's a holiday.
Not the 20th,
President's Day, Monday.
President's Day, the 17th.
Oh, yeah, okay.
What is that?
Take it off. Anyway.
President's Day is on the 17th. 20th is a Thursday.
Well, I guess they're doing surveys, so.
Yep.
Sorry.
They're
Yeah,
probably
next
looking-
survey meeting, we're going to have that.
Okay, so then you
then
expect
it's
it
the following week.
in a month that we should be able to see a set of questions. So
Yeah.
that's what I mean. If you're expecting to send it out within a month or have it ready for review in a month, and Lloyd said he wants to send it out right away, I mean, you're gonna have 2 surveys, so you're gonna have, how many questions you expect to have? If you tally them
We've
all,
already gone through the first set, it's already been passed to the commission, we've already discussed it. And then that, and then.
I don't think
combined
we
with
have
this-
approved anything yet.
I'm sorry,
We didn't approve anything yet.
it's already been presented to the commission. We're
Yeah,
going to
but
put
we
everything together.
need the whole set of questions for,
That's correct, or have that the next,
at the next meeting.
after our next survey meeting, that'll be compiled and passed. And then you'll have it the following week at the commission meeting.
When did you say you wanted to send it?
Well, if I may, Chair,
That's the schedule.
Okay, Lloyd said he has 30 questions, or like about 30.
Ballpark, could be a little bit more, but.
So that's the concern is that, what he has and what the survey committee will produce.
Mhm.
My guess is that they may be redundant.
I've not seen what Lloyd's come up with, so I don't know.
Provided to the committee.
That's one thing that we're going through, is we're going to eliminate redundancies. In what we receive.
Can we hold that up? Then it sounds like you have 2 surveys going out more or less at the same time. According to what Stephen is.
I thought that you were going to have that contracted. You're doing it?
No, that's a different survey. This one is just for the board member.
So what happened to the other survey?
We just haven't finished the contract. We should finish it in the.
Oh,
And yeah, that's not board members. That's just the public.
I didn't know about the one you're doing now. That's another one then.
No, we sent you all those
All the
questions.
questions.
We sent you our entire survey at that time.
So those questions were not incorporated into the survey that you say you've got already done.
Yeah, and if that's the case, then it's not redundant.
Well, I don't know. I haven't seen
Yeah, I
the
don't know.
questions.
I can't comment.
Chair Oshiro. I reviewed our survey. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Wait, let me recognize you first before you start talking.
Oh, okay.
Let's finish what we were just saying. So you said you haven't seen the questions from Lloyd?
Not Lloyd's, no.
No, we sent it to you. We sent
That was,
you,
that was very early on meeting.
yeah,
Gave a list. I'm like, my hair is seen it, so.
Okay, Mahia, you can go ahead.
Yes,
Yeah,
we
before my-
received, can you hear me?
Yes.
The NCO's office survey questions, I believe there were 44 questions. We received them back November, I believe, October, November. So we all had an opportunity to review them. And we have the survey committee questions as well. So I just want to say that there are some questions that the survey committee, the NCO office, that are very similar. That's just my comment. Some of them are very similar.
So that was my point. I expected that they would be similar or possibly redundant. So that's what I think that the commission will need to review. You got 44 questions from NCO, from Lloyd, and whatever number that survey committee had. That's maybe 100 questions or so, maybe.
So I think,
Let's take a look at that.
yeah, and I think, should all review the final copy of the survey.
Yeah.
That you folks have, and then when we have the survey committee meeting,
Yeah.
just cross out the redundancy.
Mhm.
Where it's
Right.
been
Yeah.
asked, just knock those out. Yeah,
Okay, so we should be
Yeah.
able to pin that down at our next commission meeting,
okay.
hopefully.
I just want the commission to understand that the survey we put together was specific to what we want to ask.
yeah.
And if we put
Yeah.
the two surveys together and our questions are eliminated, sorry, then we'll wait, or you guys will wait, but I specifically want a certain.
Why don't we consider this thing, rather than have two go out? We'll consider what the commission, what you had prepared, starting off with that, and then add whatever else is added. So it's not a matter of deleting those, we'll delete whatever the committee has in terms of redundancies.
I think it's more efficient that they send, if they want to send their survey out, just send it out, but we have a copy of it and we, on the survey committee, eliminate the ones that are redundancy.
Yeah, we're working internally on our
You know, and
redundancies.
The
Yeah.
the
with the
questions
board
that,
members. But I think
questions
that they're two different surveys though.
yeah, the
Lloyd
questions-
is,
Yeah, well, I don't see why we would have two go out, and they're gonna be asking similar things.
right,
That was the whole intent at the beginning.
we already,
That's why Lloyd provided the committee with the questions they had. And that's what they had asked. I remember them asking, what did you want to find out from the survey? So that was provided. So that should be part of the survey that goes out rather than have two. I don't think that makes sense.
I think we should have two separate issuance.
Aren't
Finish
there gonna-
ours, then let the NCO do that.
Patrick?
Aren't there gonna be then three separate surveys? One to the board, one to the public, and then,
That's true,
so,
Yeah,
yeah, we're-
that's true.
The survey to the public is not being done in-house. It'll be done by us, a company, an independent company.
But we don't have that yet.
No, we haven't.
So the survey that's imminent is the one
Is the-
that we've been working
To the board.
yeah,
It's just to the board members.
I can just add that it just seems a little overwhelming, I think, to people because it's like they probably haven't seen a survey in a long time, and then all of a sudden they get three, and we don't.
They're not gonna get three.
Well, but within 2 or 3 months, I mean,
Yeah, the public survey is not gonna be for board members. It's gonna be
Okay.
just public,
yeah.
the general public.
Well, but you're gonna probably
You
catch.
may, yeah, end up with a, but
I
maybe
mean-
that'll be one of the questions that, are you a board member? If you are, then you're
Yeah,
not part of it. So
So is that supposed to be targeted before or after the neighborhood board election?
we haven't figured out exactly when. I think we haven't, we would like to get it out sooner than later, but it's not really targeted around the elections at all.
What do you expect to ask
I just want to know what the general public thinks
about?
about the neighborhood boards, about the effectiveness of not only the boards, but also the government, the city government, and impact the neighborhood board system has on their community, what can be improved, what can be, not done or done more. I don't know. I don't know what the public's thinking. And part of the problem is this, and this is the challenge for us, is we average 7 to 15, or on average, there's less than 20 people from the public at any board meeting. And I would like that number to go up. But until I know what the rest of the community is thinking, why aren't you there? What is it that you see that keeps you from that meeting?
The problem today, I think, is that it's changed quite a bit because most of the boards are televised. A lot
Yeah,
of
but-
people don't show up in person because they have, and then with the pandemic, that made it easier and people got more used to viewing, meetings online rather than going in
Right.
person. So I think that's affected a lot of the attendance
It's
in
true.
board meetings, except when you have something controversial.
Right.
Mhm.
And
That everybody shows
But
up.
that, and that's part of the survey is, okay, when you do attend, why do you attend? But the point is that even with the virtual component, we don't have a high number of people attending. And, when you got a base of 30,000 people, how can we say, this is what we need to do to get more people to attend if we don't understand what they're thinking? Why are you not coming to a meeting
How often do you get reports on how many people are watching?
every day, every time there's a
So is that like compiled in some kind of report that we can
Yes,
see?
yeah, we have,
I've never seen a report that shows that.
I thought we did
The
say,
minutes show the attendance and then also the.
Where?
Of the meeting.
If you look at the minutes, for the guest list, it'll say a total of 17.
What it is.
Yeah, on every set of minutes, we track attendance. But that's people that attend the
Well, it's not
meeting.
compiled, it's on,
we filled out our own internal.
yeah.
so you have something that
Oh, yeah.
compiles all of it.
Yeah.
Well, that's what maybe would be helpful to look at.
Yeah, I'm sure we brought it to the commission before. But, we collect information and some of it it's not black and white because we don't always know on the thing when people sign in who they are, who they represent. We know there's a tremendous amount of a large part of the group that shows up at the meetings are either part of the presentation or part of the first responders or part of the elected officials. Yeah, so we lean to that because we know these people, we see their names every time. We know, so we break it down into how many people we really are from the public, and also how many people we know are there because they're almost have to be there. So generally speaking, it's like, I don't know, 3 to 1, maybe.
Well, I mean, you track people that are watching it on video, on tape? I thought that's what you meant. Or is it just the people that attend the meeting in person?
Yeah, to attend the meeting.
Oh, okay, because, we see that every month.
But even on the website, you can figure out how many people are actually, there are people that are presenting something because they're part of the elected officials or the first responders, but also there are people who are generally from the
No,
public.
I mean, those that are watching on the video. You're not tracking.
We have not looked at the Ludlow
Can you-
stats.
can you-
that are
can you
watching
track
TV,
that?
But we
No.
have YouTube, which we're tracking,
We
and everyone
track.
can actually see it yourself.
Yeah.
But we know how many views we've had in the last year, and we're running it.
Well, that would be good to see it.
We've had like 20,000 views, actually.
That's a lot.
In the
Yeah.
last year and a half.
Yeah, we've
All
got
YouTube
YouTube
videos of all neighborhood board meetings.
That'll be good information to see because that'll indicate the level of interest and, participation, basically.
Well, if they're watching on a level that they're not participating, they're just watching. We want to know who showed up at the meeting, how
Well,
many people.
yeah, that we have obviously from minutes.
Right, right.
But who actually are participating by watching the video. They may not be able to ask questions, but they're attending. Same thing with the people in the audience. They may not ask questions, but they're there. Patrick?
Yeah, if I could just say that there are a lot of times there are board members who do represent their neighborhoods and people talk to them. And I think, I don't know if you would say, but for that person, they would go to the meetings and participate. But that's actually, maybe something to quiz the board members about. And, like, who do you discuss on a consistent basis? Okay. Just putting that idea.
Yeah, and we're trying to, yeah. We're trying to get a good understanding of the board members on that survey in terms of what they see their role is and how effective they think they are. At the same time, we want to be able to, you know, again, we have a number of people that ask about training all the time. Well, training for what, you know? I need to understand what you know, otherwise we'll be training you on something you already know. Or maybe you need something else. I don't know. It would be just good to have an idea of what the board members, what their knowledge base is.
Chair, that's a good point. And we talked about that in our survey meeting, our committee meeting, is that we can tell from the answers that we have from the board members, actually, where areas, we noticed 3 major areas they want training in, and we can provide them to you. We'll see that in our survey.
Well, I think we have a certain amount needing training, but what do you want training on? And what is your knowledge of that area to begin with?
Yeah, we have that. We can pull that from the data.
Okay, I see a few hands in the audience, so I don't see the commission members. I'll go to the audience. So I see Kevin has had his hand up for a while. So Kevin, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. I appreciate the discussion, but I do wonder if the Executive Secretary could, for the benefit of the public, maybe address some of the questions that were raised and were documented within the written record that was recently approved. In this case specifically, I'm wondering if there has been any advancement towards publishing online or revealing online the findings of fact repository that was present in the previous version of the commission website. It'd be great to get some updates on how to find that information. Thank you.
It's not public.
Kevin, I'm sorry. Can you explain what you're asking? I don't know what specifically.
Certainly. Thank you. On an earlier iteration of the website, there was at the commission homepage, a easy to see link that would list or point to a list of all of the findings of fact that are to be published after each of the hearings are adjudicated. I can't find that online now. I can find references to findings of fact, but the references, the URLs that are provided point to pages that no longer present that information. So it's
Okay.
confusing. It'd be great if that could be resurrected.
Okay, I'll take a look at it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I see another hand. Is it up or down? See Michelle Matson.
I think Grace.
I don't see a hand now. So Greg Nasakian, you have the floor.
I do not have my hand up. I'm just making comments with icons.
Okay, that's confusing to me to pick up who has their hand up or not. So can you refrain from doing that? Greg, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. So I just wanted to reiterate what Kevin Lai said regarding missing information that's still missing from the reorganization of the website. There is still things that it's very difficult to navigate or find or that are still missing. But I also want to say regarding the public participation that it was just brought up, that people will come to meetings when the public has the opportunity to be able to chime in on important things. And some boards are run very well. I know the Diamond Head board, in my opinion, is run very well. So some chairs get it, and there's decorum, and they act appropriately. And I think Pearl City is the same way. But my board, which is the Waikiki Neighborhood Board, which is a very important board, I would think you would all agree, because of the population in Waikiki, is not being run properly. And so with that, public participation will come when more people want to come to the meeting because they can participate in issues and things that they're concerned about and not politics or agenda items that just the chair cares about, so that other people, want to talk about. I've tried to get things on agenda for the public, members of the public, that are never listened to. They're pushed out for a vote for a future meeting. We didn't even get to the vote at the last meeting. And these are for very large, important projects like the Alawai pedestrian bridge, which is a very political issue. So That said, I know there's some noise in the background, but that said, I'm going to end there. But public participation comes from properly orchestrated meetings and a properly run neighborhood board system. Thank you.
Point of order, Mr. Chair. Mr. President Chair.
Can she do that?
Point of order,
It's not a member of the.
Mr. President Chair. I am not going to refrain from signaling my support or lack of support for specific comments with this website that encourages us to respond by certain hand signals. This is a public forum.
Thank you.
And I support many of the comments that have made so far. And I am very concerned about certain comments from the executive secretary. Thank you.
Okay, again, I'll just say that we've used the motion up or down with your hands to indicate whether you want to speak or not. And I try to call on those that have their hands up and recognize them as such, but.
This is
I
not
noticed-
to
oh, wait a
speak,
minute,
it's
I'm speaking.
simply
I haven't given
an
you for you.
acknowledgement.
I call on those that have their hands up and I allow them to speak. But your hands gestures were going up and down, so I couldn't tell whether you wanted to speak or not. But
Point
you
of
explained
order.
it quite well and indicating that what you're doing is expressing your opinion by your hand gestures.
Correct, and I'm
Okay,
not
thank you
asking
very
to
much.
speak. Mahalo.
Okay, moving on to the next item on our agenda is, you're done, Lloyd?
Yep.
Okay, back to committee reports. So, elections committee, Claire, do you have a report?
The elections, information has just gone on out by itself. Candidate registration is open. Currently, the publicity has been really, I think, good. It's been distributed to all the neighborhood boards. It's been publicized in all the city places, I think. The nominations will, it started in December and then it will end. Registration deadline will be February 21st. It will end. And then, voting will begin on April 25th. We have yet to, name a person who's going to manage the elections. And then the voting will end on May 16th. And there's information out there to contact the website in order to find out more information about voting and registration.
Just one note then on the elections report. I take it as future meeting will have that on the agenda in terms of selection of
Yeah.
elections monitor.
Monitor,
One-
yeah.
One person?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we just gotta make sure we get that on a future agenda so we can take that up.
Share, Kevin, real question.
Thank you.
Kevin, you have a question.
Okay, I can see Kevin Ly's hand up. Go ahead, Kevin.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to ask if I may, the committee chair, about a comment that was raised towards the end of last calendar year about the decision to present candidates and their statements online during the candidate accrual process. As you know, having that information available online leaves a significant last mover advantage to citizens who may want to register to run. They have the advantage of seeing what other candidates have as their platforms, so to speak. And I just wondered if the discussion about that had indeed happened and if you could enlighten us on the decision to permit that this time around. Thank you.
Kevin, I don't think, we've had any further discussions on that, but I would like to, address your concern. Do you feel that having it online, a candidate, summary of a candidate or their, I don't know what they want to call it, who they are, do you feel that that is an advantage to them on the website or is not an advantage? What's your preference or what point are you trying to make?
No, thank you for asking. I think that it does permit potential candidates to decide if they want to or don't want to run based on what they may already see having been published by registered
Not
candidates.
published until after the close of the registration periods.
if I can hear your Commissioner Smith in the background, I think he's onto it. But again, it allows if someone, for example, makes a platform on their, 300 character or whatever the number is statement, they could then strategically copy that or oppose it. It just provides information that kind of can unbalance the playing field for those who are first movers. So that's why it gives a last mover advantage. Thank you.
Okay, we can look at that and we can discuss it, but I think if you realize in this today's world of social media and everything else that goes around, and AI even in particular, there's only so much you can control as far as what we want to, how we want to control the elections or the candidates. I think a person who was interested in running for the neighborhood board has to make that decision for themselves and then make their own case and then go forward with that and just stand on their own record. That's just my opinion, but we can talk about it. Okay, thank you for your input.
Yeah, well, we have had that discussion previously on previous reports, and I think that the commission and all the boards in all past elections that I'm aware of always used to, once the registrations for filing started, they would post to people on the website to show who's filed and run and what their platforms and positions are. And I don't think that's a bad idea. The
Yeah.
people who are new can get their name out and have it up longer, and they can see their picture and statements from as early as when they file. And those who file at the end, well, whether they copy or not, I mean, it's
Something we
up to them. Yeah, there's nothing we can control it. And with this many candidates, over 400 that hopefully will participate, you're going to have similarities in terms of what their statements are, especially if the problems are pretty common, like homelessness or affordable housing, traffic, crime. I mean, those things are going on all over the island. So, you may see that over and over again from candidates. So
And it's
I don't
not-
think that's unavoidable.
Yeah, and I think the candidates who run for a particular board.
Right.
And so they have to make their issues on that board. I
Pertinent
mean,
to their board.
yeah, if I'm in IA, I'm not gonna look at everybody's candidate summary and see which is the best and how do I, they have to make their own case per their board.
Right, and I've looked at this in the past elections and looking at all the candidates that file and all the candidates that win. And, without question, I think at least 90% of the candidates that file win, or, get elected, the majority of the people that file to run for the neighborhood boards get on. It's not difficult in
Yeah.
most cases to get on a board, and you do have neighborhood boards that have contests, but those are few, I'd say, overall. So, the key is putting in your application to run for the name. And hopefully there are more than less.
Well, we'd like to get to a point where you'd have more contested
Correct.
races, but, given we're even having trouble with getting positions filled. I think some of it has to do with the fact that some neighborhood boards are divided by sub-districts. And if they're divided by sub-districts, then that really limits who you can put on in one particular area. You might have an area that is very active, but the sub-district might not be that big, and then they have a lot of people competing.
Yeah, and I've seen some districts where they have a lot of candidates, so, it can go both ways.
Yeah.
So it really depends on the neighborhood board, but, that's something that we can easily
I think,
capsulize and summarize as one size fits all. It varies from board.
well, I think our perspective or our duty is to be fair to everybody. Put out the dates, let everybody know the dates, when the registration starts, when the registration ends. And then it's up to them to then file within that period of time. If you feel it's more advantageous for you to file early and get your name out there, then you file early. If you kind of file late because you want to copy somebody, I mean, we can't say, how are we going to prove that, kind of thing. So I think as long as we from this side gives out fair information to everybody and equal information to everybody, I don't think we can be faulted, or we're doing our job. So, okay.
Okay, anything else on the elections? If not, neighborhood plan committee, we already did the survey committee, correct?
No, I have to, these are the
You said
information-
you gave your meeting, your
No,
report at the beginning.
Stop me from giving the report.
I stopped you?
Yeah, I
Do you have more to say? Then
Yes.
go ahead.
Thank you. This is the information that we covered at the last survey meeting. And this is the information, go ahead and pass it down. This is what we're going to be compiling and reducing redundancy, eliminating redundancy. And then this for the other information we've given will be put together in a package, passed, and then presented to the commission the following week. Well, that's what we reviewed.
So before you go any further, do you have this electronically?
Yes, it's filed.
Oh, so everybody has, it?
That's already been filed. Ellen has it.
Okay.
Okay, so we're in good shape. We're pleased that, as Commissioner Larry mentioned, down to the end of the Ellsworth Road. With this one, we've already submitted this. This information you're looking at here is from the board members and the chairs. That's the last step that you have in your hand.
That's all.
Yeah, we've already gone through it. What we did is that we separated that document into, divided by the members of the board evenly, so we're all working a piece of it.
No,
Thank you.
I'm sorry. If you were, Lord, I just had a couple questions. Were there questions related to these responses? Was there a question that you asked that you didn't respond?
It's an open-ended question.
Yeah, no, but why would they, what were the questions that got these people to?
No, this is what their questions are.
No. What did you ask these people?
What would you like to see on the survey?
Okay. And
That's the responses.
okay.
Well, it's a whole letter that you sent.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Yeah, it was a memo, cover memo.
Yeah, I think he sent.
And
Wow.
And who was it sent to? What was your,
All the chairs, and then it was sent to, actually, we used your list from the board members. Initially, the chairs, but we had a request to send it to all board members. It did go to all board members. We used your list that you provided.
chairs first and then all board members?
Yes. So we did go to,
And how many,
Responses.
yeah, how many responses did you get?
I don't know offhand, it's in the package. You have the package in front of you.
No, I mean, how do I know if this is one and this is two and this is three?
There, a lot of them are line item.
Yeah, I know, but how do I count? I mean, there's gotta be a number of responses.
I don't know. We'll have to give that to you after.
No,
I don't know offhand.
it was reported previously that
There were several.
there are 110 responses.
That's about right. What I
Correct.
recall.
Well, not, they
But
weren't
this is not
100,
reflective of 100.
there weren't 110 people responding. There were 110 issues that might have been raised.
Yes,
But I don't,
Claire's correct.
so if Lloyd is asking if, how many people responded.
We don't know.
I don't know if we have. that.
We don't know.
We don't have that.
It's an anonymous survey.
Pardon?
It's
We don't
anonymous.
know. It's an anonymous survey.
Yeah, but they sent you something back, right?
With email.
Yeah,
An email.
so how many emails did you get back?
We don't know. I don't know offhand.
Well, yeah, one of the issues that we've had, Stephen, I said I'll raise it at tonight's meeting, if you're giving the rest of your report now, is that
Sure.
back in November, Lloyd had asked you for information related to the survey,
Mhm.
and he asked to get a hard copy report and not to redact any of the responses. And you got that request, and it was requested again in November. And then again in January, I believe. But you never were able to do that, and I'm not sure exactly why. I forwarded you the request and the email that I received, and it asked you to get that resolved with Lloyd, but it has apparently not been resolved. So can you respond to that and tell us why
Yeah,
you can't get it?
That was after the fact.
What do you mean after the fact?
The first email he sent, was over a month after we initially received them and started going through them. So that information was not available. The second part of that, that the state requires, the state law requires that we remove personally identifiable information. That's the state law. Okay, so they coincided, but by the time I got Lloyd's email, it was after the fact. It was already done.
What do you mean after?
Wait, take
The,
it now.
the names was already gone. It was already gone.
See, that I don't understand, because if you got the email from the respondents, then you knew exactly who was sending it back to you, and that's what I
That
believe
was already,
Lloyd
the
had requested.
information was deleted. We'd already gone through the information.
No. When you got these responses that you're showing us tonight, they were all emails that were sent to you. And when people send you the email, they have their names and email addresses on them. So I believe that's what Lloyd had requested. Is that right, Lloyd? All the email that you
By
received.
the time we received that from Lloyd, it was after we already whitewashed the document. That information was no longer available.
But it always wants, I mean, there was no response back to say why they were not available.
No, I sent it that at my, if you look at the meeting minutes from my, I guess it was in October, Dylan, the month before Lloyd asked for that information, I said that the information was not available. So it was public knowledge. It was not available. It had already been whitewashed. That's why I was surprised to get an email from Lloyd saying regenerate it. But that's fine.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think what I'm hearing Stephen say is that the survey was anonymous, supposed to be anonymous. I don't- no, no, no.
Send email.
I know, so what that he's saying that he's protecting that anonymity by taking out the responses, who responded. But, and I don't know if you're asking specifically for the names of the people, but I think you're asking for a tick thing, like if I have 10 million complaints, do I send 10 million, 10? Okay, let's say I have 10 complaints. Do I send 10 separate emails? And then do that all get counted as one? Or does it get counted as one person, me? So I think that you're looking for how many actually respondents were, not necessarily who they came from.
No, he was asking for the whole thing.
Well, but I know.
Yeah, I would like the whole thing. But yeah, I want to know what was the question that was sent out? Of the people that responded, who were they? And can we relate the question and the response? Because if the question was, what do you want to see on the survey? And that's the only question that went out. Okay, that's fine. But the comment
That's
was,
correct.
I would assume that they would have a question coming back, said, put this on the survey. But a lot of it is just comments. It's just comments. So
Right, and I think if you look at these things, we can pretty much tell where we got some of the responses from.
Sure.
You know, and,
They mentioned the board.
right.
Right.
And so, I mean, so what I think the strategy was, and correct me if you're wrong, Stephen, was that we went through all the responses and we picked commonalities, like, are you upset about neighborhood board meetings? Would you like to change the time of neighborhood board?
Right, 3 hours. or
Yeah.
more.
Do you have a complaint about the minutes? You know, what is your concern about the minutes? Venue, those kinds of things. And a lot of that is very similar. So,
Right. It's all redundant.
Right.
It's all the same. It's
Right.
over again.
so it doesn't mean that there are 100 different concerns. You know what I mean? There might be,
well, there was apparently 110 responses.
yeah, but a lot of the responses might be the same.
I understand that. And normally when you do something like that, you have it more organized and say, this is the question, these are the responses, and these are all the responses. And you just lay it out in a spreadsheet. So it validates what you're asking, especially if you're asking neighborhood board questions. Is the person from a neighborhood board? Are they a neighborhood board member? Are they a chair? Are they not? You know, there's no way to prove
There was
that
no
this actually came
There's
from.
no dialogue like that.
No, but there's no way to validate that.
There was
this
no
actually-
dialogue. That's from the board members themselves.
Right, but you can't prove that.
That's original content.
You cannot prove it came from the board member.
Yeah, we can because I just vouched for it.
How can you do that? How can you possibly? You said your wife watched everything, so you don't have a record of.
Took the
either.
names out.
Right.
We removed the name.
Yeah, so you don't know who sent the email, right?
We did at the time and it was whitewashed.
No,
Yeah,
so
but.
you don't have the names
It's
now.
you. Nobody else saw this thing.
Yeah, except
But
No,
you.
we discussed it.
When you say we, it's you, Stephen, correct?
We discussed it in the committee.
But you
I
didn't
think the
discuss it.
subject is
Because
ended.
I went to the meetings.
I think the subject is ended because I think you're fishing for things you're not saying, Lloyd.
No, I'm just asking you straight up.
No, I gave you the answer. And that's
Chair,
it.
Go ahead.
And we're, Stephen, go ahead.
Can I?
Wait, Patrick, go ahead.
What I just might suggest is obviously this is already done. If the data is not there, it's not there.
That's right.
However, in the future, usually when you have these privacy, not privilege, privacy concerns,
Right.
you still keep the data. You just don't, you just
Don't.
restrict access. So I don't believe it's good practice to just delete everything for future reference.
Thank you.
That would be my suggestion. And that way, so we don't have these type of issues. Because usually privacy concerns, it's sort of like, the colloquial, a need to know. And sometimes there are need to know for administrative purposes or analytical purposes beyond. And if they're legitimate and they're within the organization, then that's exactly what it's supposed to be used for. So just going forward, I would suggest.
I accept
Keep-
that. The premise that we discussed at all the meetings with the survey is to pull out anonymously. So there was no ever mention during any of the commission meetings to track anything. So we did what we said we would do. It's done. We could have done it differently. We could have put a lot more time and created spreadsheets. We did not. It was not required of the survey committee. What we are going down to the survey committee now is that this is going to be compiled, go over the next survey meeting, and then presented with the other information to be passed by vote to the commission.
Who besides you saw the original documents that came back?
I don't know how many people actually saw it. It was in discussion during the survey, committee meetings. But that's what we have in front of you is the content. That's what's important.
Oh, it might have been addressed, right? I just,
Sure.
I just, it just seems like if you sent an email, the email chain still exists somewhere, or did you delete the entire email chain of responses and things?
Now deleted the names, whitewashed
The
it,
names or the emails?
both.
So.
What you have in the content, the document is the content. Other things are gone. It's all gone.
If-
There's no requirement to hold it.
Yeah,
So I take it you printed the email
No,
and took out the name.
no.
So how did you take out the name?
Dynamically.
What?
I did not print it out. I just took it out and then copied and pasted the content.
Yeah, and then deleted it when you copied it. You took it, you copied it, then deleted it.
I didn't need the emails. The emails are gone.
No, that's what I mean. You took out the names.
I just copied and pasted the content only. That's what we have in front of us.
So he cut the original email, did the content of the,
Yeah.
and he stuck it on something else. They cut the next one and stuck
And
it.
that's what you have in front of you.
So we just have to trust what you gave us is from the people that submitted responses.
You can tell by the content that it is board members, chairs, related.
Well,
individuals.
That's, we have to just trust you on that. Because there's no names to correspond to contents. And nowhere is there close to 110 comments, responses. So we got what we got and we'll develop a survey from what we got.
Thank you.
And you're not gonna get anything because apparently they've been deleted. Okay, anything else from the commission? If not, I see one hand up. Kevin, go ahead. You have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. The discussion about the handout in front of you is clearly intense and interesting. And I'm sure the public would be interested in reviewing that document as well. I thought there may have been mention at the beginning of the distribution of the handout, if it was available online or not. I did not see a formal board packet for the meeting tonight. It makes me wonder if this process was in compliance with HRS 92. You'll recall that there's mention that copies of non-confidential visual aids required by or brought to the meeting by board members as part of the scheduled presentation shall be made available either by posting on the internet or by other means to all meeting participants. And so I wonder if by the end of the meeting, their URL, the points of that document could be posted in the chat. And if not, if we could get an evaluation of the process for improvement of best practices during the next meeting of the commission. I think we'd all appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, the handout that Steve provided tonight, I see no problem, having it posted somewhere. Because it says it's been whitewashed, although you can figure out, by reading it, where it might have come from, but in any event, it's public information. I don't think it's private. Is that correct, Stephen?
Yeah, the private information has been removed.
Okay, so
That's what the
that's
cover sheet.
can be made available at your earliest convenience in terms of putting it on, either attaching it to the minutes or putting it up
That's
on the commission's website.
All right. Commissioner Letters. This, aside from the first page, which is the survey committee agenda, the rest of this is what you've already shared, and this is what has been published at your last committee meeting.
Yeah, I thought actually that you
So
put it up on
this is-
Google Drive.
Yeah, so
I think
Kevin,
it's already there,
what
Kevin.
we're looking at tonight is in the survey committee meeting folder. I do know what you mean, though, if it was, I wasn't aware you were gonna print it tonight. But in the case, yeah, we would have stuff for tonight's meeting, but there's nothing different about this than what was
Correct.
posted
So
for the,
Kevin, the previous survey committee meeting has the content. This is just a printout of that with the cover page. So it's already there in the Google Drive
for the survey committee.
or the survey committee
So,
from the previous month. Not this month, from previous month. Content's the same.
this,
It's all there.
what is this?
That's new. That's the cover page.
Right, what was the cover page if it's not, if it's public now, but it's a confidential? What is confidential and what?
Read the highlight.
I did. Confidential, I personally identify what information.
What's it say underneath that?
And then it says unauthorized access. is-
No. It says the PII has been removed from this
Right.
document. It's fine.
Right, no, but
It's done.
so, yeah, so what I'm saying, this looks like everything past this is confidential. It should not be released. Are you saying that,
The content, look at the narrative.
you're right, I understand, but you don't even have to put that if you're just printing this.
It's fine.
Mr. Chair.
So,
It says content shall be protected at all times and not disclosed, discussed, or shared with individuals unless they have a legitimate need to know in the performance of their official duty. That's what it says. So if I'm reading that, it sounds like it's supposed to be confidential.
The
right,
highlighted area says it's been removed.
right.
So
I
that-
understand that, but
That is able to be,
subsequent to that highlight, it says it's confidential.
that's right. With the highlighted area says it's been removed, so it's okay to publish that.
That's not what it says.
I would agree. It's very confusing.
It is.
I would, yeah, I mean, I have to.
That's our standard cover page in the office.
Well, but I would,
Office you're talking about.
State of Hawaii.
but I would think for information that is
Never
indeed
seen.
confidential. But you would never, I mean, I wouldn't think you'd put a public document, then you'd put this on top. You-
That answers the question as to why the
Okay.
names were removed. That's why. But the content's there. What the survey committee wants is content. What the commission wants is content. We have the content. Right?
Well, I did have just a general thought, and that is, it's one thing to remove the metadata, but sometimes, there might be, you said that there might be information in here that talks about certain people's names and that sort of thing. And I haven't read through it, so I'm not sure, but say hypothetically, Waikiki, it's talks about neighborhood board and it says, well, Chairman Finley does X, Y, and Z. And maybe you want to keep that in there, maybe you don't, but maybe it's not just metadata you have to think about, but it's content too.
Yeah,
So-
the lady requested and Chair showed you requested the original content. You have the original content?
Okay, I think we're talking about two different things. I'm just saying be mindful of
No, I
specific.
agree with you.
Specific,
I agree
okay,
with
thank you.
So before, would you suggest, I'm sorry, Before we release it to the public, would you suggest we redact those things, the personal references?
You know, you'd have to just look at it and consider, and I don't know of any reason to do that, but sometimes you know, you get emails that might be considered slanderous or something, you know, and they and you know, it's just probably better to redact it. So yeah, I'm just saying, when you read through it, just
Vote off to redact the document. You can if you'd like.
well, the problem is if it's already been released, then it's probably no harm, no foul. And quite honestly,
Dylan's already put it on the.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
It's already been released. It's already been released.
What is not gone out, Patrick, that'll help maybe, is that this confidential cover sheet is not part of that.
Yeah, well, that's, yeah.
It's
that's
just tonight.
immaterial. But I'm saying I think all the rest of it's been
Yeah.
distributed.
Wow.
survey.
I think if
So I'm
we're
just
gonna-
saying for, you know, future reference, consider that. Thank you.
Yeah, Dylan, maybe to be consistent, we should look at, I mean, maybe we should make sure we take out references to email addresses and stuff that are still on there.
Yeah.
No, it's already.
I know, but
Yeah, just
maybe we
in the
should take it
future.
down and put it on.
think about it.
Thank you.
Okay. Neighborhood plan, yeah, well,
Just one more, so if the question was, what should be included in the survey, which is the general question you ask for everybody? So will the committee provide those things in a question form to the survey, to the group to review? The
It's
question
up
that
to the
we
committee person. We each took a section of it. They're going to copy and extract those items that they'd like to see in the survey.
So that individual will put the question, not the committee.
The committee. Committee should.
Committee.
my understanding, boy, is that at our next commission meeting, we'll have a draft set of questions from the survey committee, which is the survey. Correct?
The survey,
Right?
yes.
So it'll be a complete set of the questions that you would like to see sent out.
Yes.
Okay, but that's not what I heard. That was clear just now. Because they're supposed to submit questions to
No,
you.
but we meet before.
Yeah.
Yeah, we.
So we'll meet on the 20th.
Yeah.
And so the way we did it, or the way we were instructed to do it is, I got the last 4 pages of this document. Somebody else got so many
Yeah,
pages.
saw that.
And across the board, there are some common areas, like minutes or length of meeting, those kinds of things. And we have to bring all of that together, then figure out what question we're gonna ask. It might just be an open-ended question. Or I would
Maybe
actually
also-
recommend against an open-ended question. I would rather say meetings should be 3 hours long, meetings should be 4 hours long.
Great.
We have,
No, yeah, when you ask questions, you don't want an essay in
yeah,
response.
right. You want to check.
Right.
And if they want further explanation, or if they would like to express more, then you leave them small space.
I'm interested because we've sat on it for a long time.
Yes.
Our survey, since the beginning, November, September, whatever, October. So
Well,
we're gonna, if you can tell us how our survey will fit into anything that you will do, or if we should go ahead and do ours. I mean,
Well, can you at least wait till the next commission meeting? Advise me that.
sure.
Because your questions may already be incorporated into the survey that Stephen is. He had those questions at the beginning.
Okay. We'll wait till we'll put it off until the next week.
thank you.
Okay. Neighborhood plan committees, Patrick, finally.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As everyone should know, the committee has been taking a step-by-step sort of revisal or review of the whole plan. At one of the previous meetings, we had entertain a suggestion to maybe take up the disciplinary procedures as a separate item to expedite that review as a totally separate review. Well, that is indeed what we did at request of the NCO. That's what we did at our last neighborhood plan meeting. We've started reviewing the disciplinary procedure with the possible intent of bringing that forward to the commission as a proposed amendment to the plan and have to go through all the public steps to make that complete. But we've just gone through the preliminary stages. We haven't really gone edited any specific proposals, but that's where we're at. Our next meeting is going to be on the 10th, and we will dive deeper into the proposals. That concludes my report, unless there are any questions.
Question?
Question.
Claire?
So, are you working on a particular timeline to do the neighborhood plan, or are you interested in hearing what the surveys bring back? Or is it for another?
We would like that, and probably when we were talking about initially a timeline for the whole plan, it really is difficult to have a timeline.
Mhm.
It's just better to say, are we making progress? And I think we were making good progress. We actually did the easier stuff first. And one of the major reasons for that was to allow the public to maybe have more traction in the process, seeing that this was coming up. And then when we get to the really board management issues, they would chime in. As far as taking in the survey information, yes, that would be very, very helpful. So at the end, we will certainly review that. I think, half of our committee are commissioners. So we will certainly take anything that speaks out, and we can go back and look at those provisions, those applicable provisions, and to make adjustments from there.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. If I can answer a short question in a long way. Sorry.
That's all right. Oh, I did have another question regarding but it might not be the neighborhood plan we were talking about. It might be the issue, you had that resolution that you were gonna put forward. Is that under this? The one?
No,
Okay,
yeah.
all right, we'll talk about it.
What happened to that?
Never mind.
That's outside the purview of the actual
Okay.
plan.
Okay, so we're finished with all of the committee reports, so next up is announcements. The next meeting of the commission will be on Monday, February 24th at 6 p.m. here at Kapalama Holly with us. The neighborhood board elections are continuing. Deadline to file your application to run for the board is February 21st. And that's it. There are no other announcements.
You probably should
I will
announce.
be adjourning this meeting, and we'll end the sunshine law portion of the meeting and reconvene to discuss adjudicatory matters that we've got. Wow. Okay, meeting is adjourned. Thank you.